Does anybody remember Spore, the 2008 equivalent of No Man's Sky, because EA insisted on it being simple for the little Timmies, resulting in it going from a semi-interesting game to what some say is a slog? Not that I noticed the difference, I still thought Screamo was a good genre. Well, what if I told you there was a game that is not only trying to simulate everything all the time, but is also free and open source? You'd call me a madman, but I'm not the only one you should be calling mad, as I've borrowed their lead developer for an interview.
Alright, I'm Hyväläinen. I'm the lead programmer for Thrive.
Join me today as we not only take a look at this realistic version of Evolution, but also take a look behind the scenes onto its creation. And welcome to Thrive. As mentioned before, this game is entirely free. There is a Steam version which will cost you 4 of your superior euros, but on their website you can freely download their launcher either from their website itself or from GitHub. And it will remain so forever. Like I said, the code is open source and it's right here on GitHub. But okay, enough semantics, Lunar. What's this game? How does it play? Well, you start the game of Thrive as this little blob, moisturized and completely in his lane. You're tasked with the incredible job of surviving a thermal vent, eating some soup, and this soup is usually a mixture of glucose, ammonia and phosphate. The first will be broken down into energy for you to use, or ATP, while the latter will charge up your evolution meter. Once you collected enough, you can evolve, giving a detailed view of all the species that are thriving with you, or in some case, died, then gives you the option to move on to a different spot in the ocean for some different soup. And lastly, you go to the editor, where it gives you 100 points each time to spend on whatever parts you want, making sure that you actually have enough energy or an ATP in order to function. And then use that ATP to perform other actions like swim, sprint, or even engulf other targets to eat them and absorb them. With proteins usually being the things that produce this ATP from any number of elements just floating around in the depths. Is your underwater paradise fuller of iron than a Martian tech priest? Simply become an iron-munching microbe. Is your chemical soup spiced with acid? Just consume the acid. Once you got your ATP production down, you can then evolve a means of defense, a means of propulsion, and even a sense of smell. Eventually, being able to evolve a nucleus, unlocking the next stage and an even advanced set of tools like the ability to cluster together, and then actually progress to the multicellular stage. And this is where this video needs to take a slight detour toward the end, because see, at the moment, the multicellular is still in development and the single cellular stage is the only one that's fully finished, quote unquote. And from what I've seen, it's basically still the same thing as a single cellular stage, but you're just bigger and have a colony of cells to play with. But Lunar, wasn't this game like in development for 12 years? Is this really all that they got? Well, it's time to talk about what actually happened through Thrive. Now, to clarify, Thrive is still in active development and is seeing active updates as of 3 days ago of writing this script. But again, Thrive is old, really old, to the point that no one from the original team is still around to even work on the game anymore. But again, Lunar, Steam says this was released in 2021. What gives? Well, it's thanks to the work of a rotating team of dedicated developers that it got onto Steam in the first place. Hyliron, or however you pronounce that name, is basically the eldest programmer left, so he took lead. For many in the community, it's a wonder that this game has even come to this point at all. And many people joke that this game would never be finished. I mean, one glance at their website will make you go, okay, that's a little bit ambitious. In the first few years of its existence, there was no code being written at all, just people and teens coming up with ideas to a certain point that they needed to ban a discussion thread discussing the, quote, feasibility of an underwater civilization being able to exist, unquote. You know you got some really weird stuff going on if you need to ban that.
So yeah, I didn't join at the start, so basically I've talked to some of the older team members and we have an official account of the project history on our wiki, which I've read. So the really short version is that when Spore came out, it didn't match everyone's expectations, especially those people who had seen like the previews about how awesome the evolution stuff will be. So a lot of people were unhappy with that, and they started wanting a more scientifically accurate Spore game, and from one of those communities, the Thrive folks split off to start the Thrive project, still with the original goal of making a Spore, but actually a game about evolution, rather than being just a cute creature creation game.
For about 8 years, the game just lingered on, with it going through numerous development stages, if you can even call it that. Oliver Long has a great video that goes into much more detail than I can really do it justice in this quick review, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna stop to gush about its unique approach to development and realism. You may have catched it earlier that I said this game was open source and available on GitHub. Like so many mods that I've covered for Minecraft on this channel, anyone and everyone can contribute to its code, features, music, and etc. The only money this project makes is from its sales on Steam and itch, and the donations they get from Patreon. This means that they make enough money to have one person in full-time development mode, while the rest has part-time payments or just contribute their time for free. While I can practically smell the first person to comment, "Oh, so that means Hylian is just stealing everybody's hard work and money." Well, to you I say, have a little patience, because this is for a very good reason. Thrive has seen many developers come and go under this current open source system, and this means that whenever someone leaves, someone else needs to pick up the slack they left behind, and this is usually Hylian, because as lead developer he also has to approve and polish other people's code. But is this system then actually good for development?
Yeah, there's definitely a problem with people leaving, like at least from the project viewpoint. Of course, people are volunteering their time, so we cannot demand that they stay or work on certain features or do X number of hours per week or something like that. So that means that the progress on the game is kind of sporadic and hard to predict, because like if some week we have like 5 volunteers send in a new feature, like that's going to be a pretty packed week for me to review everything, but the result is that there's going to be a lot of new stuff going into the game that week, and then some week there might be just one other guy who updates one pull request that is still waiting on some changes. So of course I work on the game regularly, but everyone else can come and go as they please. So that makes it quite hard to predict when something would be complete.
This basically comes down to sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, or to my more meme-focused audience, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. It's a really radical way of approaching game development as a whole, I'm not gonna lie, but it shows that they're actually trying to do something now with an idea so many have given up on. And I, for one, love the idea of a Spore, but it's actually realistic, you know? Like, it's not just a male body part generator. But now I've given my opinion, maybe we should actually ask the dev what this game means to him.
Yeah, to save the hardest question for last, because I think someone asked this during our last live stream as well, and I didn't have a good answer then, and I don't think I have a very good answer now either. Well, obviously I've been with the project for a really long time, so I really want to see the project succeed. And of course also all of the haters over the years who have said that this will never get anywhere. Like partially out of spite, I also want to see Thrive succeed, so that those people who said that this would never work or can never achieve anything will be proven wrong.
And with that, let us conclude. Thrive then. It's an open source game. You can just sink in a fair few hours in and have fun for like a nice little drunk Friday evening. Going from a single cell organism to a giant conglomerate of cells dominating the little patch of the sea. Whether you become an iron munching, acid taking, or sunlight baiting microbe, this game takes the best of Spore and just puts it all in the microbial stage and dials it up to 11. And then again, it's free, so what do you have to lose? The game that never could come out is now free to download, or $5 on Steam. Either this is pure genius at work, or it's just pure spite. Whatever works. But before we end this, I just gotta ask one more question. Maybe one more question that wasn't on the list, but I was digging a little bit. As you might have seen in the profile picture, or like in my bio, I'm from Belgium. Apparently there's a meme in Thrive about Belgium.
Oh yeah.
Could you explain? Because I don't get it.
So there's this really awesome book called Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is basically, I think, mandatory reading for anyone who likes sci-fi or funny books. And well, we basically stole the joke that our censor word for other bad words is Belgium, because it is the most offensive word in the universe.
You know what? I take back whatever I fucking said right now. I'm booking a flight to Finland and I'm finding this little guy and I'm making sure that this game never releases. But in the meantime, I was Lunar, you were awesome, and where's my gun? Alright, thank you to all the people who watched this. Genuinely, these videos don't tend to do well, and I still have a good friend of mine edit them because I believe that this is important work that I'm doing here, and I really appreciate you watching this video. I also appreciate all the Pebbles and Patreon supporters who get early access to this video and also get the full interview with Hyliren, or however you pronounce his name. Like, look at that name and just tell me how to pronounce it. They get all the access, they get all the full unedited details, and yeah, I really appreciate those people, and I wish them luck. The people of Thrive, this is a really fun game. Really, if you have the time and you have the money, give them like the $5. To you, it's like what, 2 monsters? For them, it means another month of keeping the lights on and going on with development. So thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.